Hey everyone, today we're going to talk about reading, how I like to read, the multiple options people have, get into the pros and cons of each one, and just generally let you guys know what some of my preferences are. And if any of you watching get a good tip or recommendation out of it, that would be lovely too. So of course the most classic way to read a book is to pick up a book and read it. And they come in all sorts of shapes and sizes. This right here is a brand spanking new hardcover book. Hardcovers usually signify a first edition copy of a book. This is not always the case. Oftentimes, if an author is new or the books aren't as popular, they'll skip the hardcover. Sometimes books are just tiny and, aren't enough to warrant one. And occasionally there will be special editions or reissues of books where they redo the hardcover. But generally speaking, when a popular new book comes out, it's going to be in hardcover. And hardcover books are really nice because, of course, they are extremely sturdy and well made. But they can, unfortunately, not be the most comfortable to read. Of course, you have the dust cover to deal with. These are usually very nice, but you're normally better off just taking them off when you go to read. And where the hardcover is basically like a brick, it doesn't always make for the best reading experience, especially if it's like a massive hardcover. And when it comes to taking your books with you wherever you go, it's probably the least efficient way to do so. And of course, they do often come at a much higher price point. But it is worth noting that in most retailers, when a new release comes out, it is discounted a good bit. That's why if you want a new hardcover, the best time to act is usually right away. And while I may not find them to be the most comfortable, at the end of the day, a hardcover is a hardcover. I'm a collector. I like hardcovers. They look very nice. But if you ever want a little life hack, usually a year or so after the hardcover release, the publishers will then put out a more affordable paperback copy. These are, of course, the wiggly ones. They're a bit more cheaply made, and they, of course, come at a lower price point. Bonus life hack, when a paperback edition is new, it is also usually discounted. So if you missed that big hardcover release everyone was talking about, buying the paperback as soon as it comes out will also prove to be a steal. And yes, I generally do find these a bit more comfortable to read. They are often more flimsy, not as durable, but you can definitely work some magic with these things and they will fit pretty much any reading position. The one downside though is of course the wear that comes with paperbacks as you read them. It is very often for the edges of the spine to wear down as well as creases to form. Now there are actually some ways you can prevent this from happening, or at least reduce the effect of it on your book, but generally if you just handle it with care, you're going to have a fine time with it. You're not going to have much problems. There's a reason why you can still go to a used bookstore and pick up like a 50-year-old copy of Lord of the Rings and read it fine. Because books are, designed to stay together. So, you know how it is. Some people actually like the wear and tear on books because, it shows how much love the book has gotten over the years. As a collector who likes things looking nice, I do not agree with that at all. But I've generally had very few problems with the paperbacks I own. But you see, sometimes that's not enough. Sometimes when a book is super, super popular, hardcovers and paperbacks are flying off the shelves, and the publishers have raked in millions. They still want to get the ones who are like, oh, it's too expensive, maybe not right now, and they'll shit out one of these. This is a mass market paperback. These are the tiny ones, the pocket editions, if you will. They are very small copies of books that are even more cheaply made, and of course come at the lowest price point, generally only being around $10 or so. Not everything gets one of these. It's usually like either the super popular famous ones, the really cheaply made dime a dozen romance novels. But yeah, these are everywhere and they're definitely the most affordable way to own books. But I definitely think they are often a little bit too cheap. Unlike the paperbacks, these ones do tend to crease and you wear out very easily. And I just generally do not prefer to read ones like this. But at the end of the day, all of these differences are quite trivial and you'll get a book. You'll be able to sit down and read your book no matter how. But sometimes that's not enough. We live in the digital age and no one wants to go outside anymore. Enter the e-reader. This is a fancy little device that has gotten very popular in the last decade and has come a long way in destroying the print industry. Now, a few disclaimers. I am a very, very strong advocate for physical media. It is my hope that in 100 years we will still be able to go into a bookstore and pick up a new hardcover for 30% off. But at the end of the day, convenience is always going to win out for most people. So here we have the Amazon Kindle. Specifically, this is a Paperwhite. There are 3 tiers of Kindle. This is the mid-tier, and they all sort of function the same way. You put your ebooks on it, and you read them. Of course, Kindle is not the only e-reader, but it is definitely the most well-known. And convenience really is the key word here. If you have one of these, you're set for life. With an Amazon account, you will be able to go in, buy your ebooks, which are generally way cheaper than buying a book at a store. And when they're not, they often go on heavy discounts. Once you have your books, you can just read them like a normal book. You just swipe the pages and read, and that's all there is to it. Whether it's a tiny novella or like the unabridged version of Les Miserables, you'll just have it here on this tiny little tablet. And a lot of people might be under the impression that you can only read books that you buy on Amazon on this thing. No, because if you have any ebook files anywhere, you can get them on your Kindle very easily. And I'll be real with you guys, I've been reading on this thing for a year now, and I absolutely love it. The feel of a physical book in my hand will always be great, and I'll always go back to it, but when it just comes to pure comfort and convenience, the Kindle absolutely slaps. These things are an absolute steal for the value. When they're on sale, you can often get them for under $100. And they really just designed these things to be excellent for reading, you know? You have full control over the font style and size. It's a great option if readers have more impaired vision or they're just getting older. They even have like a dyslexia font. Like that's so sick. And it has cool features too, like a built-in dictionary. You can save things, create highlights and notes. And you might be wondering, hey, there's a Kindle app I can just download on my phone or laptop. Don't do that, guys. You're gonna destroy your eyeballs. The Kindle screen is specifically designed to reduce eye strain. And listen, I know I sound like an Amazon salesperson right now. And believe me, I have just as many problems with that company as many others do. But I gotta be real, they made a good product here. I love it. It doesn't come with a ton of space compared to other modern devices, but you don't need much space for ebooks, and like this thing can easily fit over $1,000, like way more than you will ever need. And the battery life lasts for days. It is excellent. It is perfect for travel. I find I even often get more reading done on the Kindle, and it sort of comes down to like that psychological effect that, you know, just one more chapter mentality feels a bit more in your face on the Kindle because you have the option to, you know, always have a percentage progress bar, and it is of course much easier to read than the normal book in lower light. So yeah, it's no physical book, you know, you don't have that tactile feeling here. But if you're an avid reader who just gets a bit overwhelmed having so many physical books, or you travel a lot, it's really something I think people would love if they tried it out. But of course, there was one more method, which is a bit more unique because it uses a completely different sense. Yes, audiobooks are something that, like ebooks, have gotten a huge surge in popularity in the past decade. Audiobooks used to be more niche, like you would go to the store, buy an overpriced CD, and just stick it in your player and listen to it. But now they have not only become far more accessible, but better as well, with extremely high quality narration, oftentimes full casts, and they are hosted on subscription services, which often give a very great value for the price. There's a bit of a debate over whether this is, you know, considered actual reading or not. Like, should you add it to your Goodreads if you only listen to it? Yes, you should. You're absorbing the same information. It's not physically reading, but if someone asks me if I have read the Red Rising series, I'm not gonna be like, I listened to it, so no, I have not read it, like... But yeah, whatever. Anyway, audiobooks are fantastic, and the thing is, I think a lot of people would love audiobooks if they actually tried them out, because a lot of people just straight up are against it. But there are a lot of benefits to them. I'm a multitasker. When I'm doing tasks that don't require a ton of thought, like drawing, playing certain video games, doing chores in the house, going on walks, driving around, I often like to be listening to something, whether that be music, a podcast, a YouTube video, and a lot of people are the same. So why not try that with an audiobook? You'd be surprised at just how much you can get through. Most have the option to, you know, listen at a slightly higher speed if you can keep up with it. And suddenly you can get through these large books that you were worried would take up a ton of your time in just a few days while you're doing other things being productive. Now listen, I understand that this method is not going to be for everyone. Some people just have a hard time concentrating on them, and that's perfectly fine. Everyone is different. But seriously, if you're someone who, does listen to podcasts and videos and stuff while you're doing other things, I would really recommend trying out an audiobook. Especially if you're not much of a reader, because you could discover some really fantastic stuff. And that's all I have to say. Those are the 3 methods I use most often for reading. I think switching it up often lets me get a lot more reading done than I otherwise would. And if you are only exclusive to 1 or 2 of these methods, I would highly recommend giving the other a shot. So thank you all so much for watching. Let me know how you read books in the comments down below. Reminder that I don't like Amazon, the corporation. I just think they have some talented engineers. And I will see you all in the next video.